Hello? Is this thing on? Right, well, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Archibald John Harrison. I go by Archie, Harry, or Hank. I am part of a Xeno research division within the new British Empire and Mars government, and as such was present for first contact. This is my recollection of what happened 5 years ago. It was roughly the 3rd year into our Alpha Centauri expedition. Can't remember exactly how far we'd gotten, but it was pretty damn far. I'd hazard a guess at just under 3/4 of the way. Anyway, we had just sat down for breakfast when a bunch of alarms started going off. The captain checked and they were the proximity sensors. Apparently something bloody massive was hurtling towards us at about Mach fuck. We all collectively said, well shit, and the nav guys all started trying to steer us out of its path. The physicists amongst us knew the thing would hit us before we could change momentum. What baffled them though, the damn thing had gotten way too close. Way too fast. I mean, I know asteroids can get pretty damn fast, but this thing was fucking hoofing it. Now, I'm no geologist, but there's no fucking way a rogue asteroid should move that fast. But whether it should be possible or not, it was there and about to hit us. Then the damn thing stopped. Like, just fucking stopped, just like that. Now we were all just sat there like fucking lemons. Then it started fucking moving again, slower but still heading our way. It took maybe an hour until we saw it, but that was certainly no asteroid. That thing was a spaceship. Metal, lights, and big fuck-off thrusters at the back. Needless to say, we were freaking out a bit. Then I got the bright idea to send a radio signal to it. Just see if we can get something going like in the movies. I got over to the console and... Greetings. We are glad that you didn't hit us. Do you understand me? Archibald said. His voice a little shaky, but he was still the boisterous loudmouth as always. The rest of the crew were shocked when a reply came through, though we weren't expecting the grunting sounds that came through. Hello? Do you understand me? He repeated, only for more grunting sounds to follow. After a few more moments of the strange noises, there was a slight pop of an audio device being plugged in, and finally something legible came through. Hello? Hello? This is the starship grunting sound who I am speaking to? Archibald looked back at the others and couldn't help but smile. The aliens had French accents? Yes. Hello. This is Starship Alpha Zeta 1. He covered the microphone as he addressed the others. What the fuck do I say? After all that, we ended up deciding to just tell them we've never met non-humans before, and asked if they'd be able to talk. And turns out they had a better idea. See, they were a part of some huge interspecies and intergalactic government that we were only just noticed by. They had a data packet and everything all prepped, because our new friends were actually on their way to Sol from Alpha Centauri. What are the fucking chances? So we gave it a look over, and turns out we both had the exact same atmosphere requirements, so they offered to let some of us come aboard and talk. I was automatically volunteer since I'd already spoke to him. I grabbed Bob, our botanist, and Colette, our doctor. Always found it funny. Bob wasn't even her name, we just called her that because she looked like an old sitcom character. Colette was actually French herself, so she understood the accent better. That's why she came along. We pulled up alongside their ship, which ended up being about a mile long after we measured it. The three of us put off our spacesuits, headed to the airlock, and floated over to the other ship. We weren't stupid enough to go unarmed, but we only had sidearms. You know, pistols and similar. Bob said she'd never thought she'd die side by side with a Frenchie. The pair were huge Tolkien fans, so I'm not surprised. We finally got pulled into what I can only guess was the alien's own airlock, and some sort of force field came up behind us, letting the air build up. Then the door opened, and when I say nobody expected this, I fucking mean this was fucking out there. We were greeted by a fucking Stegosaurus in a fucking French maid outfit? A Stegosaurus in a French maid outfit? What the actual fuck? It was walking upright too. I didn't even pay attention to the fact he was speaking, because, like, How do you pay attention to anything other than a fucking stegosaurus in a maid outfit? So, you are the humans? The dinosaur said, looking back and forth between the humans. Bob and Colette looked at each other before removing their helmets, and tapping Archie's back so he would do the same. Yes, that's us, Bob said, giving Archie another nudge so he stopped being rude to their host. Archie hadn't removed his helmet for one simple reason. He was laughing so hard he was struggling to breathe. After taking a solid minute as the other two tried to explain that he'd rather keep his helmet on, Archie finally got control of himself as the three humans were led further into the ship. Bob kept shooting glares at Archie though. He kept chuckling as he watched the Stegosaurus walk. Eventually they all reached a conference room of sorts. Within was a sight that made even Bob let out a snort. There were two other Stegosauruses, a Triceratops, a trio of Velociraptors, and a T-Rex, some in maid dresses and some in butler uniforms. The T-Rex appeared to be holding a tiny little teacup and a saucer underneath, with the raptors writing on some paper documents. As Bob and Colette entered, they heard a loud thud as Archie fell to the ground clutching his stomach. The various dinosaurs all looked concerned, but Bob simply facepalmed. Fucking Christ, look at his little teacup! Archie was completely unable to breathe as he howled with laughter. His companions trying desperately to calm him down and maintain a straight face themselves. They failed. Bob had a huge childish grin as she helped Archie up, whereas Colette had started wheezing as she noted the Velociraptors were using quills and ink. What is? The first Stegosaurus began, but after a moment seemed to finally realize what the three were doing. Wait, you are laughing at us? It was another 10 minutes before we all stopped laughing. Still the single funniest thing I've ever seen, and I've never laughed as hard in all my life. Anyway, turns out the outfits were the official uniform of the Galactic Navy, and they were actually all from different planets. They just looked a hell of a lot like dinosaurs. Once we'd all calmed down, we managed to get to talking, and had the official invitation to the Galactic Society. 5 years later, and that first Stegosaurus is my fiancée. Her name's Celine, and once I explained everything, she found it just as funny as I did. Said it was the single most entertaining first contact in centuries. Isn't that right, babe? It was fucking hilarious,